Property Maintenance Advisory Board. Thank you all for being here. Did everybody receive their copy of the minutes from the last meeting? Is there any discussion about those? Microphone? Do we have any, anybody want to make a motion to accept those minutes as they are?
So moved.
Anybody want to second it? Okay, and everybody in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Okay. Before we go into the complaints that are for tonight, there's a few things I want to kind of go over with you. John Meadows sent us all a copy of the established rules, regulating procedures for the Town of Livingston Property Maintenance Advisory Board. And it's just a sample that he has sent us. And I got mine this afternoon, but I haven't had a chance to read it. I'm assuming that other people did not have a chance to read it either. So I was hoping that we could read this between now and the next meeting and then have it on the agenda to see if we want to go forward with that. That sound okay? Okay. The next thing is that there's going to be complaint forms come before us tonight and in the future that have been filled out by citizens of Livingston. And I wanted to make sure the citizens were aware that they can make these complaints anonymously. They don't have to have their name, their phone number, their address on the complaint form. So I just want to make that clear so citizens will know that they can complain without being afraid of any kind of retaliation. The third thing is Rebecca has made us these notebooks for, we need to keep our copies of the ordinances that are signed and dated. You were given a copy last meeting of the abandoned vehicle one, and that one was signed and dated, but the other ones were not. So if you will put that one in also with this notebook, so you always have the right version, and if there are amendments made or new ordinances, we can always keep these. There's also, in the abandoned vehicle one, there was also a checklist and 2 sample letters, and those are also need to go in this over. Any questions about any of that? Okay, then I guess we are ready to have Darius present his complaints.
Yes, Mr. Chairman, we had,
Do you want to get, I'm sorry, Darius, the podium with the microphone.
It blocks the view of the camera, you know.
I'm sorry about that. I know I'm pretty big, so I'm sure I'm off the view. We had some complaints that did come in. If you recall when, is it Vision Livingston? Is it? Envision Livingston. But when y'all were having some meetings, I know there were some pictures of areas that were brought in at that time. And you had 4, 5 or 6 different pictures. So for your first meeting, I just used those that were brought in at that time for your first meeting for complaints. The first one that we have is it's 3 complaints on one form. So we want to look at those, or I hope you all will look at these individually. They are, Mr. Danny Bowman is here, and there are complaints on his property. He has 2 on Wendell Street, 1 on Kevin Street. I think so. Yeah. And the first one, Rebecca, is on Wendell.
Yeah.
This property is located on 211 Wendell Street, as you can see. This property is zoned R1. The reason I put the zoning in there, and I may be wrong, but the reason I put the zoning on there was I thought that the ordinance only regulated residential properties. Now, I may be wrong about that, but that's what I thought. I thought commercial properties were done away with. But that's the reason we put that on there. This one is zoned R1, which is residential, single family residential. And we've got 2 or 3 pictures of this location, and I did send, Mr. Bowman a letter, gave him a letter, stating when the meeting would be, and encouraged him that he needs to come. He may have, done some cleanup since then, I don't know, but now Danny he can tell you whether these pictures are still accurate or not. So I'd like for you all to look at them individually. I think this is a violation of the new city ordinance, this particular one here. You may not, or you may concur with me that it would be a violation. But I'll just turn it over to you all and open for discussion. And Danny may, like I say, he may have done something different. I've not been over there today. It's been a couple of weeks since I was by there.
So the board, this is open for discussion. Anybody have any questions of him or of Mr. Bowman, or any comments to make about this property?
Mr. Bowman, are the photographs still accurate?
No, sir.
So can you explain to us a little bit about what you've done to change?
Yes,
Can you come to the microphone, please?
Yes.
Yeah, I seen the pictures and, this stuff, like the blue truck and all the stuff there has already been gone. I moved it out. As far as the red Chevrolet, it is actually tagged. It's an antique, it's a 63 Impala, and the other one, the blue truck, is tagged. I just need to put the license plates on them. It's a 79. The blue truck here is gone. See the record there? And on the other side of the Chevrolet, the red Chevrolet and then the blue record. Both of them runs, rides, and drives. They got license plates on them, antique license plates. The blue truck is actually on the trailer fixing to leave out. It'll actually leave out next week. It's not on this property here. I think you know that, Angie.
I haven't paid much attention. I have seen you over there doing a little bit of stuff. But
Yeah, it's all gone. The blue, if you'll click back to the picture prior to this, the blue Oldsmobile there, that's antique, that's licensed, and it's road ready. Somebody has busted the front grille out of it, but as far as anything on that, it's got new tires on it, and it's got antique license plates on it. The blue, the gold van, it's actually fixing to go this next week. It just hasn't been weather permitting. The logs and everything was stuff that I pulled out from the properties where I've been cleaning up and behind over at Moss. I think you know what I'm talking about, Angie, where we cut them trees down and stuff, and I pulled them over where I could actually pick them up, throw them on the trailer. I've got a guy with a bobcat that's coming in within the next week or 2 weeks, as weather's permitting, and he's actually going to finish cleaning out this basement and get all that stuff cleaned up there. Other than that, I think everything over there is pretty much gone. I finished cleaning that trailer off.
Now, with the exception to the vehicles, the other, and go back to picture one if you would. The other stuff that is not vehicle there, that's all still there, correct?
No, that's,
It was as of yesterday.
no sir, that's not true. The stuff you see in front, yes sir. The stuff on the trailer there, no, it's gone. The mower is still there, all the shingles and everything has been removed. And like I said, there's a lot of stuff it hasn't been weather permitting for me to finish getting up. You know, I bring stuff in and I move stuff out. I've been doing that, me and Daddy has for years and years, before any of Gunzall was here. We've been there for over 50 years. So, it's kinda like the old, truck across from, Dairy Queen. That's rotted down there, and everybody sees it coming into town, but nobody says anything about it. That truck's been there.
I think complaints are coming on that.
Huh?
I feel that a complaint is coming on that.
Oh, I'm sure it is. And I understand this, guys. I really do. But it's been a fight. It's been a struggle getting everything out. I was talking to Angie the other day. Didn't know I had so much stuff till I actually got into it. Because I don't work here. I work out of town. And I'm gone most of the time. I think she knows that.
I live on this street, I drive by this property every day. I will agree with you that there have been improvements, but the question as to whether or not it is in violation, I think that it is, but that's just my opinion.
I understand, everybody has an opinion, and I understand you live on the street, but, there's, you know, have I got time to get everything swept up? No, I don't. But if, you know, if somebody else wants to step in and start sweeping up or paying the taxes on it, I'll be more than happy to. But as far as this goes here, you'll see stuff come in and go. And it'll go before anything is ever said anything about, unless you just complain about it that day. If that's the case, then I don't know how long have you lived out there, where you lived there?
Just since July, sir.
Since July. If you'd been living here years ago, you'd see that everything comes and goes. The stuff was there when you bought the place. And,
Yeah, I can attest to that.
yeah, it was there when you bought it. And, you know, and no disrespect to you at all, but if you didn't like how everything was, you shouldn't have bought that place to start with. It's kind of like me having this place here, and I've had it for 50 years, and you're going to come in all of a sudden and tell me what to do. I understand there's ordinance, there always has been, but stuff gets moved in and moved out. I do stuff a little different than you, and Angie and Travis does stuff a little different than me. And me and Angie and Travis got along for years, haven't we? Since it was all moved in. We've helped each other. Angie helped me clean the place up. When, if you want to see it bad, you ought to see it before I bought the place. It was really bad.
All I'm saying is it comes down to whether or not it is or is not, and as far as this body is concerned, I think our task is to determine whether or not it is or is not in a violation. But and I agree, you have made improvements, and I'm proud of it.
But, sir, other than the cars, I mean, I don't understand. This place is not going to be just like downtown Nashville. And like I said, if that's what you're expecting, you bought the place in the wrong part.
Excuse me. I lived in Livingston practically all my life, and that was a gorgeous street. I had friends that lived on that street. And when I was a young girl,
Yes.
even a teenager in high school, I went and stayed with my friends on that street. And it was a gorgeous street where kids were playing out in the streets and on the sidewalks, and it certainly is not that way now.
It used to be, yes, when Mr. and Mrs. Stevens had that, and I agree with you there. I really do. Up until Mr. and Mrs. Stevens passed away. And then the people that had it, actually, when me and my wife bought it, Angie was trying to get the owner to cut down a tree, and I think Vince had to pay $1,000 or something.
We only had to pay $400 for the tree.
$400 to have the tree moved down, and the people wouldn't even help out on that, and that should have been their responsibility. But, yeah, it was a whole lot worse than what it is now. It really is.
Mr. Bowman,
Yes, ma'am.
the issue before us tonight is whether or not you're in violation of the code now. It has nothing to do with the past. It doesn't even have to be that you agree with the ordinance, but the ordinance says, you know, it defines what a junked motor vehicle is. It defines what a motor vehicle is, including the lawnmowers that are on the property. They're motor vehicles according to our code. So what is before us tonight is, are you in violation of the code?
Well, there's three, yes, I probably am, I'm not gonna dispute that, I probably am. There's 3 riding mowers out there right now, 3. And I'm actually redoing 2 of them, and 2 of them will be going off in the vehicles. So yes, they are riding mowers there that will be hauled off, but they're also riding mowers that will be fixed too. But now, as far as a violation, I've got to ask you this. The O's Cutlass sitting out in front, the red Impala sitting in the back, the Record sitting in the back. You're claiming them is in violation. They've got antique plates, and they will start up and move around. I can move them anywhere on the property, start them and drive them.
May I ask you a question? You were saying earlier, I move things, they come and go. There would be no reason to bring a junked motor vehicle and put it on that property, whether it's gonna go or come. What the code says is you can't have junk motor vehicles on your property. So just because they come and go doesn't mean it's okay to bring a junked motor vehicle to that piece of property.
I understand that, I do. But I've done this all my life there, and it's always been okay up until the last few days, or in the last 6 months.
The code, we are going according to what the code says now, that was passed by the Board of Aldermen, so that's what we're going for. Thank you.
That's fine, but I'm asking you, what about the Record, the 63 Impala, the Cutlass? They're all tagged with antique plates.
Are you operating as some sort of car dealership or a car? What is that supposed to, are you putting them there to sell them?
No. I'm actually restoring them for my son when he comes back from Texas. And there's nothing in the law books that says that you cannot have an antique car as long as it's licensed and tagged.
And runs.
And runs, exactly. And Angie can testify that them cars starts and runs. Or do they not, Angie?
The Impala does, but I don't know about the Record. I actually never heard the Record.
Well, I started the Record up for Travis the other day. He heard it. You can ask him. I go out there and hit starter on it, and Angie knows the Impala run, and also
I do know.
Angie knows the O's Cutlass runs.
I would think that would be up to the discretion of Darius as far as the inspector goes. If they are tagged and they're running, I think it's outside of this ordinance, but I may be interpreting it wrong. I don't know.
I think we just have to go with whatever the definition is in the code for a junked motor vehicle and for a motor vehicle, and whether it's in violation according to the code. So what we have been charged to do is make a recommendation to the inspector, to Darius, of whether we think that it's in violation or not. So that's all that we as a board will do, and he will make the decision on what all's on that property that fits the definitions that have been put into the ordinance.
Yes. So, with that being said, I guess everything's left up to you when you get a chance to come by, and I'll be glad we'll start them up and let them run and drive around.
Yes, can I say one thing?
Yes, sir.
We're an advisory committee, right? I mean, even if he is in violation of the code, can we advise that if he's cleaning up his place, that we could, before we start him on that, they give him till next month or something to finish?
That will be up to Darius. Really, all we are charged to do is to advise Darius whether we feel that this property is in violation of the code, and then he can work with Mr. Bowman to clean it up.
Could I ask one thing, as far as, like I was talking, and I agree with you on the other stuff here, I really do. But as far as Impala, the Record, the Cutlass, I mean, I've got several antique cars.
If they meet the definition in here that they can be not included because they meet the definition of an antique car and it runs and all that, then no, they would not be in violation as long as you are not operating a car lot in a residential neighborhood.
Exactly. Yeah, I get that.
Does anybody else have any other questions or comments about this piece of property? Do we want to make Darius, do you have anything else to say about that?
No, again, I may be wrong on the ordinance, but I think if it is road ready, a vehicle is road ready, I don't think it would be a violation. I don't think our ordinance states how many vehicles a person can have, in no shape or form. So if it is road ready, I think they would be, okay. Now, if they're disassembled or tore up and don't run, or no license, what have you, they would be in violation.
I just know that previously that those vehicles, I don't know whether it's those particular ones had for sale signs on them sitting on that piece of property. So that's why I wondered about if you had them up for sale.
They're not anymore. I did is when all this comes about, because I have way too many vehicles. And the for sale sign, I had to put on a bunch of stuff. And I talked to Thomas, which lives in Corpus Christi, Texas. And he said he wanted the Impala, he wanted the record. He was the one that had built the engine back when he was 13 years old. It still runs right and drive. It's got one flat tire on it. I've got to fix that tire on the front. But other than that, the for sale sign comes off. And I like one more vehicle on that piece of property, which is the gold van, and that'll be leaving probably next week. I've had a lot, since I've had my knee replacement, I've been out there working a lot, haven't I, Angie? But it's,
I've seen you over there a little bit, yes.
Okay, do we want to make a motion to find this property in violation of the code? That our recommendation would be to Darius that this property is in violation of the code.
So moved.
Second?
Second.
Okay, all in favor? Say aye. Aye. Anybody opposed? Okay, you can go on with your next one then, thank you.
All right. The next one is still on Wendell Street. It's across the street from here. This is where Danny lives, and it's his home place. You can see we've got a couple of pictures there. I don't, like I say, here again, I don't know whether he's done any changing since we took the pictures or not. But this one, I think, as well as the other one, would be in violation at the present time of the present city code. So, y'all can discuss this.
Thank you, Darius. Does anybody have any questions for Darius or Mr. Bowman, or have any discussion about this piece of property? I do want to make one comment, that when I went by this property, there were a lot more vehicles than there are in this picture.
yes, this place.
Oh, you want to step up to the podium? Sorry. Thank you. Sorry.
No, you're fine. All the vehicles that's sitting here are licensed and tagged. They're all being used. The motor home, I'm actually doing maintenance on it. It goes to my work. I work in Nashville, and I've got to have a place to stay at night. I've been in the past driving back and forth, making long trips, and actually bought that and put antique plates on it, and it'll stay inside of Nashville when I get through it. But I'm actually going completely through that, and it runs, rides, and drives. It drove right where it's at, but it's got to have a lot of maintenance before I go to Nashville in it. I'm putting new water pump and new belts, hoses, and all that. But as far as it being in violation, they shouldn't be nothing there that's in violation.
What about that wrecker?
That is not a record, that's a flatbed, and that is tagged, that's an antique, it's 79, and it
The
runs
one on the
right,
left? The
it
one on
runs,
the left?
it's got a lift on it. It's not a record, but it's got a lift on it.
Because it's been sitting there since I've been living in that neighborhood for over 6 years.
Exactly. I run that truck all the time, and I put antique license plates on it. It's got a Detroit engine, it runs, rides, and drives.
So you can move that vehicle.
I can start that vehicle up and take it anywhere I want to go. Matter of fact, I used to haul scrap iron and stuff on it, and I've had right at 50,000 pounds on that truck. Yes, that is not a junk. It starts and runs. The reason of the 5-gallon can over the exhaust is to keep water from getting into the exhaust.
Anybody else have any other questions or comments about this piece of property?
Darius, your opinion that made this a violation was based on just the vehicles or?
Yeah. Yes, it was with the amount of vehicles that was there, and of course I did not get out. I didn't look to see if they were tagged. I didn't know whether they were road ready or not. And I didn't ask Mr. Bowman that, just because the amount of vehicles and stuff that were there, I thought it would be a violation, but
I would have made the same assumption.
Mr.
And like I
Donovan,
say, oh, I'm sorry, go ahead.
just a quick question. So each vehicle in the photograph has current tags.
Current tags, yes.
So if Darius were to go and check on this, he would
Darius
find
can
that they're
come
all
follow
current.
me over there.
Turn the mic on.
Oh. Darius can follow me over, yes, sir. Matter of fact, there's one car missing, that's the one I'm driving tonight, is the Camry. The little white Subaru, the Dodge Dakota, it's actually sitting across the street tonight. The 300 is my wife's car, and then I've got Corvette and a bunch of other antique cars sitting over. I do have a bunch of cars, and I do need to get rid of a bunch, but I always keep them licensed, try to. Occasionally, some of them might run out of tags. As they come into antiques, I put antique plates on them because it's hard to remember everything. I do have a lot of cars. I've got too many, but they're all paid for, and so.
I think it would be important for Darius to actually go back to that property and see which ones are appropriately tagged and actually run. Because like I say, that what I thought was a record has been sitting in that same spot for over 6 years.
Could I make a motion that this property be a violation?
Does anybody want to second that?
So if we're saying it's in violation, what's the next, I mean, that doesn't prove that it is or it isn't, that just means that it's.
well, it would prove, or it would say that we concur that it is in violation of the code at the present time. But Mr. Bowman would have approximately 90 days before any fees or fines or anything like that to deal with.
But if we find that it's in violation tonight, and you do a follow-up, do you do a mandatory follow-up, or only at a request of the
Only-
landowner, or how does that work?
Only at a request.
I'm just trying to do a what-if scenario. If we
If I
do,
might address the board.
please do.
Okay, the city's ordinance regarding junk motor vehicle is clearly defined in the ordinance. A junk motor vehicle is any motor vehicle, as defined by the ordinance, which does not have lawfully affixed thereto a license plate tag in the condition which is wrecked, dismantled, partially dismantled, inoperative, abandoned, or discarded. So, before the city goes and starts removing vehicles from property, you better make sure it meets the statutory definition, and that means if it's got a tag on it and he says it runs, there needs to be some verification made, okay? We can't just assume, that that's occurring. The purpose of doing an investigation of these complaints is to make sure whether or not a person is or is not in compliance with the code. Just because there's a bunch of vehicles there doesn't mean anything unless they are junked vehicles or abandoned vehicles as defined by the ordinance. Okay, so my suggestion would be not to take any action until a determination is made as to, based upon investigation, as to whether or not any of these vehicles meet the definition in our code.
So you are saying that we, instead of us making a motion saying that we recommend that this property is in violation of this code and that he should go forward with the next step, that we abstain, I mean, we don't vote on this?
Well,
Table it or defer it?
I think Darius needs to go back out there. My recommendation would be that Mr. Sims go back out there and determine, make a recommendation as whether or not these, you know, so far, I'm not sure whether or not there's, from what I'm hearing, is whether or not these vehicles meet the definition. So when we've got I don't know if they had, someone's alleging that the vehicles are properly tagged. Someone's alleging that the vehicles are operable. If that's the case, it appears that the vehicles themselves would not be in violation of the ordinance. So I think a determination needs to be made on these vehicles as to whether or not they're properly tagged, and two, whether or not they're inoperable or not. And we can't just assume that. I think that determination needs to be made.
So in a situation like this where we have so many vehicles, would it be up to Darius, should he go before they come to this board and check these out before we do this to see if they are, and to prevent this from happening, you know, so we have several lots like this?
I think it would be real easy as long as the property owner consents to determine whether or not they're running.
I mean, to keep us from having to keep doing this and then have to go back and forth and back and forth. If we have this scenario again where there's several vehicles, we can go and inspect them beforehand, and then Darius can make a determination to see if they're in violation or not. That way we don't have to continue to.
Correct.
But the vehicles are not the only ordinance that we're here to oversee.
Well, this board's role, I think, is to serve in an advisory capacity as far as whether or not he needs to go forward. Does he need to go forward? Well, I don't think we need to go forward on an assumption that maybe these vehicles run, maybe they don't, because I don't think the city wants to get into the habit of removing vehicles that don't meet the ordinance, because then there's exposure and things of that nature. So I think, you know, a determination by the codes enforcement is going to have to be made as to whether or not this vehicle meets the statute or the ordinance, the definition in the ordinance. And that would mean if someone's claiming that the vehicle is actually an operable vehicle that's properly tagged, that needs to be looked into before we determine that a person's in violation.
My point was that I think both properties that we've addressed tonight might not only come under the vehicle ordinance, but under the whatever the overgrown lot and the health hazards and that type of thing.
And I'm just addressing the vehicle issue.
Okay, do I need to withdraw my recommendation?
My recommendation would be to withdraw determination as far as these vehicles are concerned until that's verified.
Okay, so I do that.
Does anybody want to make a motion that we ask Darius to, I guess we need to do that, to ask Darius to go and check out these vehicles and see if they meet the definition of a junked motor vehicle or not?
I'll make that motion.
Anybody want to second that?
I'll second.
Everybody in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Anybody opposed? Okay, we'll go with the next process then.
Okay, Rebecca, go to the next one. This one is on Evans Street, 507-307.
507.
507 Evans Street, yeah. It's, it is on R2, which is residential, multiple family residential as well. Danny owns this one, and this one, per the ordinance, the way the ordinance is written, I didn't think that this one is in violation.
For the vehicle ordinance or the?
For the vehicle ordinance, yes. I thought it was okay. Now, he does have some cars, dismantled cars or unoperable cars over there, but they are around the back. And I thought the way I read the ordinance that if they were in the backyard or behind the house or behind the This one here, I just didn't think that he was in violation.
Does anybody have any questions or discussions about this piece of property? I think I'll just read this section of the code that says, this section shall not apply to any vehicle enclosed within a garage or building on private property, under a carport on private property, behind a privacy fence, or otherwise out of public sight on private property, or to any vehicle held in connection with a business enterprise lawfully licensed by the town and properly operated in the appropriate business zone pursuant to the zoning laws of the town, or to any motor vehicle in operable condition specifically adopted or designed for operation on drag strips or raceways, or any vehicle retained by the owner for antique collection purposes, operable and licensed. So, does anybody have anything to say about any of that?
So from that, are you reading that it is just the fact that they're behind in the backyard doesn't exclude them? Is that the way you're interpreting that?
I interpreted that if you can see them from the street, that means that they're in violation, because it says out of public sight.
Now, there are residences behind his house too, also correct. So if we define public site, because it's not on a public street, but there are residences directly behind his house, correct?
Oh, I don't know. Is there a street back there? I don't know.
There are houses. I can see
There are houses that back up to that one.
property.
There's houses on the back side, yes, but you can't see my property from the back side of that street.
Did you check that at all, Darius?
There is an alley on the Belt Street that goes down. I think it stops. It may go on through, but I think it stops about Danny's property there. But then Miller Street is another street over.
Mr. Bowman, how many vehicles do you have on that property, do you know?
They're in the very back, the mother's truck, Corvette, during, yeah, they're fine. But they're not dismantled. There's one dismantled that leaves out next week, because that's where I've been taking them over to park them out, put them on the trailer, and then they go out the next day. I've had way too many vehicles, and I have got a bunch that goes off. I've sold a bunch this last week. My blue Mustang, I sold it. I've actually sold a little red truck, and I've sold a bunch of vehicles. I've got a couple that I want to sell, but I've also got several that I'm keeping.
Any other questions or comments about this piece of property?
Darius, based on your hearing of that definition, do you still believe this one is not a violation, is your opinion?
Yes, I do, because if you drive down Evans Street, you have to really be looking. We parked on the lower side of this property, and we parked on the upper side of the property. We tried to take an angle picture that didn't show anything. And no, I don't think he would be in violation. I think it's in the rear, and I just don't think he's in violation on this piece of property.
Thank you, Darius. Does anybody want to make a motion whether to find this property in violation or not in violation?
Do we have to, I mean, if it's not in violation, do we have to make a motion?
We're just making a recommendation.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
Yeah, it's come before us, we need to make a recommendation, I believe.
Well, I say to make a motion to, that
want to second that?
I would have to second it.
All in favor, say aye. Any opposed? Okay, we find that property not to be in reclamation, that's our recommendation to you, it's done, it's not a violation, thank you. You want to go to the next property?
All right, this piece of property is located at 120 South Good Pasture in Livingston. This property is zone C2.
Do we even need to, if it's related to vehicles, do we need to?
It's related to vehicle, but
Okay. But would this property be in violation under the other ordinance? I think we're only focusing on, I think we shouldn't only be focusing on vehicles here tonight. We're all property managers.
exactly, but, Ken, if you recall, your other ordinance didn't get approved till this last, meeting.
This property is, these vehicles are gone.
Yes, these,
They are.
They're already gone.
yeah,
I agree, but is this property still in violation for any other,
No.
that's just what I'm saying.
no, I don't think so.
It's not dirty and overgrown, reading the definition of that.
No, it's been moved.
Okay, perfect.
And I must say that that property looks so much better.
Let me ask you though. Let's say they were still there. I would say that would be a violation. But is it or is it not? I would say that, but it's zone C2, so does that have anything to do with it?
I think we had this discussion before, and I think that what it is that only if the commercial business is working on cars or whatever the issue is, then those are excluded. But this is a TV repair place, so that would make them in violation if they were still there.
Would you have a picture? Yeah. All three of those been removed, and that's great.
Yes.
Yeah.
So I guess we just need to, our recommendation would be, we
No.
don't find a problem here,
Well,
those are gone.
No, that's right.
Yeah,
It's fixed.
it's fixed.
All right, the next one is 204 South Good Pasture, and this property is owned by Robert Meyer. It is also zone C2, and in particular, the reason I think this one would be a violation is because his box truck, I think his transmission is out of it or something. I'll let him talk to you. But he's been working on the other part, you know, of the cleanup. I know he's got a mess right now, and the building is in bad shape, but he has been working on it some. And he's going to continue, but he can talk to you, but I think he is especially because of the box truck.
Thank you, Darius. Does anybody here have a question or discussion with Darius or with our property owner?
I have the truck liquidated within 30 days off the property.
Thank you so much.
Okay. Thanks, meeting you folks.
It looks like that problem will be resolved, and our recommendation is it's in violation at this time, but according to the property owner, he plans to clean it up. I guess we'll just have to follow through and make sure you do that. Thank you.
Can I say this? You're talking about, this was a commercial business and that box truck was part of it. Is that, how, this zoning, how does that work?
The zoning issue, according to the way the code is written, only applies if that commercial business is in the business of taking care of cars or whatever the issue is. It doesn't just mean all commercial businesses. This hasn't been in business for a long time. And that car has been sitting there for a long, that truck has been sitting there for a long time, so that's what puts it in violation.
I know it looks bad, I understand that. I'm just saying, we don't need to, of course, we're giving recommendations, but at the same time, we don't want to get in a place to where we're giving recommendations that are against our own codes.
We haven't, no, we've done fine, I think. Everybody else think?
I'm back to the, I don't want us pigeonholing ourselves into vehicles. This property is way beyond that box truck. As far far as what all of it's in violation of. And yes, hopefully he is working on it, but the clock needs to start ticking. I mean, whether that truck is gone tomorrow or not, that property's definitely in violation of these ordinances that we passed.
The building itself is what would come under the slum clearance, and that ordinance, I believe, is gonna come in front of, the Board of Mayor and Alderman, April 1st. And so that has to do with the building, but there is a bunch of junk on the outside of that building, piles of stuff, that would actually meet the miscellaneous code.
Yeah, just the health and safety part of it, I think,
Yeah,
would trigger that.
so we didn't really get to discuss that with him. Did you discuss it with him at all, or just the vehicle?
No, we've discussed it in the past, and of course, Mr. Meyer had hopes of selling, as you know, and I think those hopes have fell through, but he's aware of it, yes.
So educate us again, or educate me again, I'm sorry, I made it wrong. We've done this with his property tonight, or we're about to, we made that motion, voted on it. But then that starts his timing on not only the box truck, but cleaning up everything else as well? Or what does he?
This particular one, his timing was started on the day, supposedly, I think the day that I got the complaint or that I done the investigation. The time started at that point, the way I understand it.
The time to take care of the vehicle or the time to take care of the property?
The vehicle on that particular one was the vehicle, yes.
So your complaint on this one was only about the vehicle?
Was about the vehicle, yes.
So we need to get someone else or make our own complaint about the property itself and bring it back in again?
It's up to you, up to you.
I'm waiting for our lawyer to speak up.
Well, I mean, if he's simply here for the vehicle, I think that's all that you need to address, okay? If he's in violation of some other ordinance, I think we need to specify exactly what section of the code he's in violation of and come back at a different time on that.
Because he was told he was being brought here for the vehicle. So I guess, since, maybe we did not do a vote in a second, but do we want to make a recommendation that this truck and this truck on this property is in violation of the abandoned vehicle code, and make a recommendation to Darius about that? Does anybody want to make a motion?
I'll make a motion.
Anybody want to second that?
I'll second that.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Okay, that's what our recommendation is.
This is the only ones that we have as far as having pictures of. I had 5, and it was suggested that we might bring about 5 at each meeting. I did have one more complaint that was filed, and it was about, it will involve the other ordinance that was passed, and it was about animals, livestock or animals when on the premises. I did investigate that one today, and there was no animals there, so just to report to you all, that complaint has been handled as well, but when I didn't see anything there, I didn't think we needed to go any further.
Are you able to read that? I really can't see that from here. Can you have good eyes?
Located at 512 East University Street. Yeah, go ahead, Mitch. Close.
Located at 512 East University Street, there's a 10-by-10 chain link fence pet kennel that appears to be used to raise farm animals. Smells are a nuisance to neighbors. Please inspect this situation and notify the property owner of the appropriate property maintenance code violation.
So when you inspected that, did you notify the property owner that there was a complaint against them?
No, I did not.
Would that need to be done?
Since there's nothing there now, I don't think it needs to be done.
You have anything else for us,
Do you all want me to just check those, license plates and, road ready and have it ready for your next regular meeting, or do you wanna have a call meeting, or?
I have a question about a property like that, for example. So you didn't notify him, so say they raise livestock and all the livestock is sold because it's time for them to move. What's gonna stop them from coming in 2 weeks and putting the livestock back there? Because they were not notified that there was a complaint, so they don't know that there was a complaint. So in my opinion, it would be helpful that if you notify the property owner that there has been a complaint made against the property, so that they know that there are issues. Because if they don't know that there's a complaint and they had removed all the animals, but they might be getting more in 3 weeks, then we're back to square one right here again.
What did you say about, you want to handle Danny's next regular meeting? Fourth Monday?
See, our next meeting would be Monday, April 22nd at 5:30 PM. Do you all want to wait till then, or do you want a special call meeting to see if these vehicles are in violation or not?
I'd say just wait till the next meeting, and then we can address it at that time.
The time is ticking already, is that correct? When the complaint is made, that starts your 60 days. So us waiting until the April 22nd meeting doesn't change the clock. Okay, does anybody want to make a motion on that? Whether we want to have a call meeting or whether we want to wait until the April 22nd meeting?
I'll make a motion to wait till April 22nd meeting.
Anybody second that?
I second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
That would be our recommendation. Is there any other new or old business that anybody needs to discuss?
When we are talking about road ready, does that mean they have to be insured too?
I don't know, Darius, does that mean that?
I think, there's nothing in this ordinance that requires these vehicles to be insured, and I think it's state law if someone is operating these vehicles on the road and they're not insured, they will be subject to violations and penalties, state statute, but that's not the definition in this ordinance.
Thank you, John.
If we have more than one issue or violation on the same piece of property, this can be brought up at the same time but in separate forms.
Yes, I think so. I don't see no problem with that.
Okay, so if you have like a health issue and an automobile issue, this can be brought up at the same time, but it needs to be in a separate recommendation.
Well, I think you would need to look at each violation as a separately, and then a determination, some guidance would need to be provided by the board on that issue. Okay? So,
But a person complaining, a citizen who registers a complaint, wouldn't need to fill out a different form. I mean, they could come in and say, they've got piles of junk and they got a bunch of old cars.
oh, yeah, they could put all that, yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, it'd be one complaint, but, that one complaint, there may be 4 or 5 separate code violations as a result of that one complaint that was made.
I was just wondering, because in case you wanted to come back later, after someone had been for one violation, and then there was another one found later, then they would have to come in at a later time.
Right.
So Darius, when you notified Danny, was it by letter? And did you spell out which code it was in that? So if it were multiple codes, then that landowner would know which one.
Again, Ken, everything that I brought you this time, with the exception of that one, dealt with junk cars only.
So when you sent him the letter, you let him know that one ordinance was what he was deemed to be in violation?
I thought that he was in violation of the junk car ordinance.
So that's all we should address tonight, if that's all he was made aware of.
Right, and I sent him a copy of the ordinance. Each one of them got a copy of the ordinance.
And that would be in your clear letters.
Okay. If there's no further business, do we have a motion to adjourn?
Motion.
Anybody second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.